Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. I love you. Sending you a big virtual hug wherever you are on the earth plane right now. I wanted to offer up a quick exercise to do. So, you and I are moving into higher states of consciousness, and we have been for quite some time. But in the last 6 months, we've really been accelerating into these higher states of consciousness. And a lot of times, we don't realize that we're doing it, especially if you beat yourself up a lot. If you're feeling states of consciousness that you don't like sadness or depression or anger or rage, irritability, anxiety, sometimes we feel like if we're feeling those things, we must not be moving into higher states of consciousness. There's no way. And yet we are. We will continue to feel states of consciousness that we don't like. It doesn't mean that we're not ascending and moving into, evolving into higher states of consciousness. So it's very much like your hair growing, right? You don't really realize that it's growing until all of a sudden you look in the mirror 6, 7, 8 months later and you're like, oh, my hair grew, right? You don't see the progression of it necessarily every day. So I want to congratulate all of us for what we have done these last 6 months, and I want to bring awareness to how far we've come. So look back at where you were in March and where you are now. And can you see yourself experiencing 3 specific higher states of consciousness? Are you noticing, or have you noticed that you have been being in a way that you may not have been being prior to March? That these last 6 months you have been kicked into, forced into, pushed into new higher states of consciousness, ways of being, that you may never have moved into this quickly if it weren't for COVID and this first domino. So I'll give you an example. My 3 are compassion. So I've been holding so much more compassion for myself and humanity than I've ever held. I feel it like literally vibrating out of my body. I'm in a much more present moment state than I've ever been. So I'm feeling myself much more present and just in the now more and more. And the third is that I'm finding myself in a more surrendered state. So I'm noticing that I'm not controlling things as much. Anything I feel, anything I think, anything I do, I'm just allowing everything to start really just being. I'm just allowing more and more. So I'm in a much more surrendered flow state. So what are 3 states of being that you're noticing yourself being in more and more these past 6 months? What is it? What have you stepped into? How are you being? Because I think it's important that we start looking at how far we've come, even in the moments that we don't like to feel. We're still shifting. We're still moving into higher states of consciousness. Leave your 3 down below in the comments. I'd love to read them. I love you. Thank you for being here. You're amazing. Mwah.